Hey there, I'm Lindsay Mercado, and I am so excited to have you joining me today. Last time we talked about identity, answering the question, who am I? And how we can have clarity in our identity as we step into the new year. So if you missed that video and you want to go take a look, I will link that below. But today we are going to be talking about how our focus dictates our actions and the way that we live our lives. I remember growing up when I was learning how to drive, I was told if you ever get stuck sliding on ice, you need to look in the direction that you're trying to go. You want to look back in the direction that you're trying to steer because that will get you back on course. And I think that's so true in our lives as well, right? Our attention, the direction of our focus gets us on course, gets us going where we're trying to go. And so in life, we have three choices. We can be looking out, looking in, or looking up. And you know as well as I do, we can't be looking in three directions at once. We have to make a choice, a conscious decision and effort to where we're going to be putting our focus. So this first option, looking out, is looking to the lives of others, looking to them and maybe comparing ourselves, looking to them, trying to gain their approval and acceptance, looking to them to try to achieve and compare to their level, their status, their degree, their house, their family, their job. And a lot of what this causes is sometimes we have a momentary satisfaction or momentary acceptance when we get the approval of the others. We get brought into that group that we've been trying to get the attention of. But ultimately, there's an underlying thread or fear of rejection or failure that we're going to do one wrong thing and everyone's going to see it. Everyone's going to be looking. Everyone's going to see that mistake in our lives. When we have our attention on others, we're so afraid of what might happen that we don't just live our lives. I think the two things that we might do is become really dissatisfied, that our stuff isn't good enough, our life isn't good enough, our family isn't good enough, our job, our house. We start to compare these things that other people have that we suddenly crave that we never actually craved before. You never wanted that master's degree until you saw that girl get her master's degree. And now that feels like maybe something you should do. I've had those moments. But when we do this, we start to just live dissatisfied, that nothing we have is good enough. And we start pursuing things that never even mattered to us in the first place. The other thing we might do is become distracted. When we are so obsessed with having the perfect whatever, the perfect life, the perfect family, the perfect kids, the perfect house, we start to become distracted from enjoying what we have, right? We might end up cleaning dishes instead of enjoying date night with our husband, or we might shut our kids' game down and tell them to stop running around and playing instead of joining them and making a memory and laughing and having fun. When we are so focused on how we want to appear to other people, we are distracted from enjoying our life the way it is now. And the problem with that is that those sweet moments that we might look back on, that wonderful date night, or those crazy kids running around, or just that hot cup of tea in the evening, we don't look back and have those memories anymore because we never made them. We were so focused on fixing and perfecting and building this life so that others would see it, that we don't have anything to look back and remember and reminisce on. And we also maybe don't make plans for the future because who knows what that life's gonna look like. It's a dissatisfying way to live when we're so consumed with viewing other people's lives and trying to make ours viewable. The second option is that we look in. And I'll be honest, this is the one that I absolutely struggle with, where we look in and we start trying to satisfy our desires. And ultimately it leads to an unsatisfying life because a lot of times my desires are for my comfort. I want to sit and relax, binge watch some Netflix, scroll on Instagram, be distracted, read a good book. None of those things, though, produce purpose or change the world in any way or do anything that matters. And so when we live looking in, we're so consumed with our comfort that we start to get irritated and frustrated by everyday things that just need to be done. Your dishes start to be an irritant. Your kids start to drive you crazy. The laundry that's piling up is a huge burden. And instead of viewing these things as just life, they're all part of life and they're never going away, they start to burden us and irritate us and frustrate us and put us in a bad mood. And so this pursuit of comfort, this pursuit of joy in the things that we desire actually turns around on us and makes us so much more unhappy, because every little thing that takes away from that comfort is frustrating. Or maybe instead of focusing on comfort, when we look in, sometimes we start to take control. I think that's a dangerous place to be, because we are not in control of anything. God is sovereign. And so when we start to view ourselves as taking control and having to fix things, I think that's when our anxiety starts building. That's when we start trying to do way more than we were ever meant to or capable of doing. We start to try to control our finances and control our life and control our responsibilities and control that degree and control the next step. But life is not in our control. And so we're just going to feel more out of control the more we try to control our environment. So looking out doesn't work, right? We live dissatisfied and distracted. Looking in doesn't work, because all we're concerned about is our comfort or our control. And so that leaves us with the last option of looking up. Colossians 3:2 says, "Set your minds on things above, not on earthly things." Right there, that's a command not to look out. We're not meant to be looking out. We're not meant to be setting our eyes on earthly things, but we need to fix our mind on the things above, focusing on God. Matthew 6:33, it says, "Seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added to you." I love that verse, because all these things that it talks about right before that, this verse is saying, don't worry about what you're going to eat. Don't worry about what you're going to drink. Don't worry about what you'll wear. God takes care of the birds. He takes care of the flowers. How much more is he going to take care of you? He loves you. And when we're seeking that comfort, when we're seeking that control by looking in, that's all the things that we're worried about. What we're going to eat, what we're going to drink, how we're going to satisfy this craving, or how we're going to take control and make sure our finances are in order and make sure we have the next step of our life planned out. It says, don't worry about any of these things. Seek first the kingdom of God, and all these things, all that stuff you're worried about, that'll be added to you. And I'll be honest, this looking up, that a focus on God, is so hard. It's not the way of the world. It's not what everybody's doing. You don't hear a lot of people saying, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm in this horrible situation, but I know that God's in control. That's not the standard for the world. That's not what we hear. And so it's hard to go against that. It's also hard to relinquish that control. It's hard to set aside your own desires. It's hard to shut that down, because that's our innate human tendency. But it's such a choice that we can make to fix our eyes on things above, to focus on God, to know who he is, that he is sovereign and he's going to take care of everything, that he's good and he truly has our best in his mind, that we're not in control. As hard as we may try and as much as we may want to be, we're not in control. So relinquishing all of that, it can be truly difficult. But it is also the most satisfying way that we can live our lives. By surrendering to God and knowing that the one who created us is the one who knows exactly what we need, exactly who we're meant to be, exactly what he's going to want us to do in the next step. And it's going to be the most satisfying life that we could ever pursue. It's also incredibly safe. When you know that God's good, and when you know that you're stepping into his will because your focus is looking up, and you know that he has your best interest at heart, that safety, despite the circumstances around you, despite the chaos, you'll feel safe, you'll feel secure, you'll feel sure and steady. So when we look up, life is no longer this to-do list. It's not a burden or an annoyance, or it's not even a game to win against other people and see how we can compete. Our life becomes this huge blessing that it's a privilege to live. It's a privilege to wake up every day and to experience a new day that the Lord has made, and to truly rejoice in it and be glad that you get to be a part of this world for one more day. And so the next time that you're feeling worn out, or that you are feeling like you're not enough, or like something is just unsettled, like you need that control, that you're so anxious, I want to challenge you to look up. Look up to Jesus. Look up to the author and perfecter of our faith, and truly trust that he's got your best in mind, that he's in control. That looking out and comparing yourself to other people, or looking in and trying to satisfy that desire for comfort or that desire for control, none of those things are going to be as satisfying as looking up to the God of the universe, the one who's got everything in his hand and controls it all and is steady and the same yesterday, today, and forever. I love what it says in Hebrews 12. It says, "Let us run with endurance the race that is set before us, looking to Jesus, the founder and perfecter of our faith." Let's keep our focus locked on him. Thanks so much for spending a few minutes of your day with me. If you found this video encouraging or helpful, I would love for you to share it with a friend who might be encouraged by it as well. And if you want to connect, I am over on Instagram at Lindsay E. Mercado, or you can find me at my website, lindsaymercado.com. I'll see you there.